Ride. So in this video, we're going to ride my 124 FX DLS. Let's check it out. What's going on YouTube? FX DLS Brooklyn is back in the building, as well as Jenny from the block back at it again. And yeah, we haven't done a video where we're explicitly riding this bike and doing a little ride together. So this is going to be the first one where we actually hop on the bike and ride together. Updates on this bike, we are over 1,000 miles in. I'm very happy. I definitely have a lot I could tell you about this bike within this video. Yeah, just give you a little update of my first impressions of this giant 124 motor that's in here, as well as some of the other things that we did to this bike. Most notably the paint job. As you can see, we have many a dead bug on this fairing. And yeah, we have some battle scars already. If you see that giant chip right there, that ain't good. So definitely going to talk about that and some plans going forward in that regard. But here we go. Let's get your start up. And there you go, Hot Rod Lowrider S. Well, first and foremost, before we start the video, I do have to give a shout out to my brother from another mother, Old Man Armstrong, aka FXS Strong, aka Rob. My good friend, who I probably posted a video already about him, just picked up a very clean 1999 FXDX, and he was actually the one who was able to finally crack the code of setting up a chin mount on my new Shoei RF 1400, because let me tell you, this helmet is very difficult to mount a GoPro to if you're trying to do the chin setup, which a lot of you in the comments said you preferred this point of view, so I took the extra time and effort to do it for you all. See how I think about you guys? But yeah, seriously, shout out to my brother FXS Strong, because I wouldn't be recording this right now if he didn't take the time to go into his workshop and do some surgical procedures to get this mount set up to work. So thanks, brother, really appreciate it. Okay, so as for the new bike, yes, you are seeing it over 1,000 miles in. This is the first ride video that we actually do. The videos before, I've just done a lot of park and talk type nonsense. You know, that's not the type of content I enjoy making, but every now and then it does serve its purpose. So initial impressions about this bike with the giant motor and the giant paint job. First and foremost, the paint job. I showed you that giant chip that came out, so one thing I plan on doing is at least doing one of those clear coat 3M wraps on the front end of the bike, so meaning the fairing, the lowers, the handguards, and probably the front fender. Because again, I've said it before, like, I do plan to put heavy miles on this bike and I do plan to destroy it, but I don't want to unnecessarily chip up the bike if there's a way to preserve it a little bit more. Because again, like, I knew I was going to destroy this bike with heavy miles, but 1,000 miles in and a chip in the front end the size of a dime, like, I mean, come on, man. If I keep riding the way I'm riding, this paint is going to be completely stripped off within a season. So before I put more heavy mile days on it, specifically on the highway, I'm going to make sure to get it that clear 3M plastic dip treatment to really, you know, just say that I did all the things I could do to somewhat preserve this paint job. And of course, I'll touch it up before I do that. So that's what I gotta say about the paint. Definitely have some work to do in that regards. As for the performance of the bike itself, so we did the 1,000 mile break-in. We took it very chill, kept the RPMs very low for 1,000 miles, tried to take it out on cooler days, did my best to not take it out in any heat waves or anything like that. Really babied it in, got through the 1,000 miles. I sent it over to Mike over at O'Toole's. He changed the compensator to a Man of War compensator. It's a heavy duty compensator, probably the best in the game. So didn't have to worry about that because I knew the stock one was going to go at some point. Hit up the good folks over at S&S, told them the break-in that I did, and they told me I am clear to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. So first impressions of actually riding this bike the way I would ride the bike before I did the hot rod motor job. So the longest day I've done riding, I actually took it out in a heat wave. I met up with my buddy Old Man Armstrong, shot a video on his new bike, and then he took me into a bunch of Hudson Valley back roads, which ended in some of the Bear Mountain twisties and Storm King twisties that you've seen before. So that was a day where I had done probably maybe 100, maybe close to 200 highway miles, and then close to 60 back road twisty miles. So I kind of had a lot of the different experiences that I might put this bike through. And here's my takeaway from that. The first thing I'll say is, from the build, the bike is 100% built to be on the highway at all times, as much as possible. And I'll make a separate video about that, but basically this bike is now the king of the highway, the top of the food chain on the highway. That's where it wants to be. That's where it's most happy. And again, I'll make a video on that, but the most enjoyment I've actually got out of this bike so far, where I was like, yeah, I'm really happy the direction I took this bike, is when I've just been simply getting highway miles. And again, that was my intention, because this is my main touring bike. So most of the miles I put on this bike are touring miles, so a lot of highway miles. Now, to tell you a little bit about the other experience, so again, I'm doing back road mountain twisties on a hot day. It was like 90 degrees. And what I'll tell you about that is, that was not fun. Like, for that situation, first off, the motor was running insanely hot, specifically in times where we had to like stop at a light, or at one point the police was holding up traffic because they were checking registrations. That was absolutely miserable. You know, the bike was so damn hot, I could feel it was unhappy. You know, I was basically contemplating, like, yo, should I just like pull over and let this thing cool off for a little bit? But that wasn't fun, and I was like, this bike is definitely not happy doing this right now, at least in a heat wave. Now, for the type of riding I'm doing right now, it is currently, I believe, like 65 degrees. The bike is happy doing this. Like, we're not screaming down the highway, but we're doing some little back road twisty action, and I don't feel like the bike is unhappy. I don't feel the motor burning up. But like I said, on a really hot day, this type of riding, especially when there was moments where I had to stop, the bike was miserable, and honestly, I was pretty miserable too. I was like, dude, I really just want to be on my FXR or my DX right now. You know? Also, not to mention, you know, those bikes are going to be way easier to throw around in situations where you got twisties, right? Like those, you know, like twisties where you're doing max 70 miles per hour. That's where my FXR and my DX is really going to perform. Highway miles, where I'm doing a minimum of 80 miles per hour and up, that's what this bike is the best tool in the shed for at this point. Now, what I will say is, we have not dyno tuned this bike. I do know that once you dyno tune these, this was my experience the last time I dyno tuned this bike when I was running the 110. It did run significantly cooler after that. So my opinion might change after I dyno tune it, which is something we're actually on our way to do. I'm going to be doing that this week. I might feel differently about it. But right now, with this hot rod insane motor, my feeling is that I definitely want to keep this bike out of the city. I don't think I even want this bike in the suburbs. I really just want this bike in situations where I'm doing a lot of highway miles, because that's where it's most happy, and that's where I find that it is shining the most. So that's my like initial impression of the bike. I'll talk to you a little bit more in our next video, where I'll take you on the highway a little bit. But as always, stay safe, stay low, and on that, FXCLS Brooklyn is out.